Anthony Mackie was giving an interview just
Oh yeah, this is our
recently.
last mail topic.
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie.
And he's quoted as saying the American male is dead.
So real quick, on the Joe Budden podcast, the crew, they about to get in a conversation about what Anthony Mackie said in his comments on Ryan Clark's podcast. So based on what he said, they're going to have their own discussions and stuff like that. So we're going to observe and we're going to talk about it. We're going to see what's what, you know what I'm saying, who's right, who's wrong. Not that who's right, who's wrong, but whose perspective do you believe in, stuff like that. So let's just listen to what Anthony Mackie got to say, listen to what the crew got to say, and then we'll see where the chips fall.
Parks, I sent you the video if you want to play that.
The American male?
Yeah, so he...
What do you mean?
Oh, well, y'all, I guess. The concept of masculinity, I'm sure. So we'll listen to him.
All right, let's hear this. Man.
Let's see what old Anthony Mackie has to say, huh?
And then
keep my boys humble. Like, my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like your kids. And no, I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Mm-hmm. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other one,
Shout out to Ryan Clark.
Yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he gonna straighten the other ones out. Mm-hmm. So it's just that thing of, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you.
I like that.
They will always open the door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up. I love that. Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing.
All right.
This sounds like much more of a conversation about being a good father than
I'm like, what?
American masculinity being dead.
I'm waiting for the masculinity part.
Yeah.
I don't know what so that's what I was wondering, like, what did he mean by saying over the last 20 years, like, has killed the American male and the idea of masculinity? But then also, do you guys agree with that statement of when you leave the house, you leave your 15-year-old in charge? Is that like kind of hoisting too much responsibility on a child's shoulders?
No, I don't think so. I'm with him with that. I mean, I don't have a 15-year-old, male in the house, but yeah, at that age, that's what I was. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they expect you to be the man of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look like shit, like he's saying, yo, make sure the doors is locked, make sure the alarm is on, make sure the windows are on. Like, that's
He's not
responsibility.
talking about like going out and getting a high earning salary and
No, I don't mean
digging wells or.
No, I don't mean that. I mean like being like the protector of the
but
house.
that's
Like, should somebody come inside, kind of thing? Like, should an intruder come over?
No, he's just saying be
No.
responsible.
He's
You
just
gotta be
saying
responsible.
you just got to do the check, the fucking checks of the house before you go to bed. One of your
Listen, I was left alone. Okay, all I had was dogs and cats and fuck.
All right, so up to this point, what I say based on what Anthony Mackie said and what the crew is saying is I can relate to it because my dad, even to this day, he really don't have to say it at this point, but he said it from when I was at a younger age where, listen, if you're the last one downstairs, make sure the doors is locked, make sure the lights is off, make sure the house is straight, make sure, everything is straight so that if anything does happen, we know our security measures is on point. Since I've gotten older, and that's a building block, because since I've gotten older, there's been other things that have come in play that allow me to be able to protect the house if I need to. Whether I'm in my own house or whether I'm in a house with my mom or with my parents, blah, blah, blah. So what he's saying is necessary for a 15-year-old. You get what I'm saying? And as 15-year-old get older and he does those things, then other things come into play. And what happens with young men is those things that we get implemented into us, we grow up and we do that for our own. And then if we have boys, we do the same thing for them. These are certain things that just supposed to get passed down from generation to generation amongst men.
Birds and fish. Okay, that's who looked after me.
You was in the woods somewhere.
I was not in the woods. I was in Toronto.
He was in the woods of
I was
Toronto.
living in Toronto proper. Okay, it was the city.
Were you in the cabin?
No, I wasn't in a fucking cabin.
You know how the Russians do when they come here? They go deep in the woods.
I was not in the woods.
What's our deep dive here?
It sounds like he was doing some great father talk.
Yeah.
I think that was
I
super.
thought that was going to be something else.
It's just his statement saying the American male is dead and the idea of masculinity is dead and all that other stuff. Like, it just had people interpreting it just different
course.
ways.
In this conversation, that sounds like a clickbait headline.
Yeah, it's a
but if
clickbait.
you want to talk about is American masculinity dead, I don't think so. I think that they're
Yes.
okay.
All right, let's hear it.
Women has taken on the role of American masculinity in men. And not intentionally, it's just that's what's being pushed to us. Because it's being highlighted that women are now the masculine one in relationships when there's still good men out there not being highlighted and good men that believe in responsibility and being a man in a relationship.
Isn't part of being a good man not being highlighted for being a good man?
Not to be a dick. Because I'm not trying to be a dick and I'm not trying to harp on things. This was my fucking point with that Doechii straight man red flag conversation.
Let's go.
This was the exact
It's being
point.
highlighted.
Anybody that don't know, I didn't read too much into it. I just saw the clip that went viral, like everybody else did, that probably didn't watch the entire thing because that's not my type of content. There was another young lady on the show that asked her what's her red flag what's her red flag with dating or something to that effect. And Doechii wrote on the board, straight men. And then the other girl clapped it up with her, dapped it up with her, and said, the funny thing is, I was going to say men. This is what Joe's talking about. That's all I'm going to say.
Saying is that, there are still men.
Talk about it.
Men.
Talk about it.
Whatever your interpretation of that is, he described his. A lot of men agree with
He just
that.
Okay.
There are still...
Well, what Joe's saying too, and I apologize for keep pausing the video, but when Joe talks about men and whatever your description of men is, yes, you can ask 100 people, ask 100 men, women, whoever, what a man is, but a man is gonna have, what's gonna start to happen is gonna be a common denominator, right? What people are going to associate what a man is masculinity and but so many words, right? They're either going to say masculine or they're going to describe what masculine tendencies, masculine habits. You know what I'm saying? They're going to describe what a man is. They're going to say words like stoicism. You know what I'm saying? They're going to say testosterone. They're going to say in shape with muscles, like however it is that they describe what a man is. Eventually, when you ask enough people, there is going to be an objective definition of what a man is, despite the fact that everyone has their own interpretation.
Men.
That's not
out
being
there.
erased, though. You think what he described as being a man is being erased?
No, and hold on one second here. What you're alluding to,
I can't land.
I
So
know
you can't
that.
tell me what
It's okay.
You can't tell me what I'm alluding to if I can't land.
I'm basing it on the last conversation that we had about this, where you landed all over the place.
But we're having a new conversation, and I'm making a point that connects full circle. The depiction of what a man looks like, many people, and I said this in that Doechii conversation, feel that there's an erasure happening with that. So when you hear somebody say, hey, I'm raising mine like this, like men, like some people still take pride in whatever that interpretation of man is. But to act like when you pick up a newspaper, a magazine, hear from prominent black people, fucking see on TV, see in movies that version of man is
No
not
longer
being
exists?
represented
Yeah.
properly, like there's a reason for it, and that Doechii comment is part of it. She has nothing to do with this, so I don't want to get back to her, but that's why y'all that were like, oh, y'all making a big deal out of nothing. Some people were making a big deal out of it because they see a different picture happening over the years.
They tying it to the other shit.
Our children, I mean, we have children that we're raising, and what they're learning is not, what they're learning is on the contrary of what's happening in the home.
They'll show you a man sucking another man's dick today
Exactly.
before they show you a man acting like a man.
Exactly.
What does acting like a man mean?
Acting like a man, being
wait, hold on.
responsible.
I keep saying that's
'Cause
open for your own interpretation.
It is, and so-
many people agree with some of the things that he laid out, which is, hey, yes, I'm 15 years old. Yes, there's older people, older women, adults in the house, but none of that matters to a man. A man is going to be a man at all points in time.
Preach, nigga.
So yeah,
I'm with you.
that's
I'm
me.
with you.
That's me telling my son, hey, when you get a job at 16, this is what you do when you get paid. You take that money home.
Yes.
Yeah, you live with your mom,
Yes.
and you be the man of the house. If there's no man in there, if she's not married, if there's nobody else there, that's your job.
Yes.
Make sure these bills are paid. Help mom in any way you possibly can, because that's what a man does. And so for you niggas to act like there's not an erasure happening, I don't understand it.
Let Mel,
I don't understand.
let Mel go, and I want to say.
I don't feel like the Doechii conversation applies here because what she was describing her preference. And if you're saying that she's describing a type of man that lacks masculinity, then that would lend to the argument.
There's an attack on straight men.
Hold on,
I'm not trying to interpret it from her. There's
that's
an,
been-
that would
there's
lend
an
to-
attack
that
on,
would
there's an
lend-
attack
King
on
True.
strong straight men. Period. I'm not trying to fucking read through cryptic notes about how you feel about some
Then
shit.
that
That is a
that
fact.
is-
You
okay.
are 100% correct. I told you back when we was over at Park's crib. I said, "Yo, if you ever want to test that theory, go search straight black man on Twitter and put it in quotes." And you went and looked and was like, "Oh, this is pissing me off." Like that's just been a thing.
I know, but anytime, that's
But-
a thing.
but that's what I'm saying.
Anytime we start hearing from somebody who might share in those views, every excuse is made for him.
Every excuse.
Every excuse is made for him.
They start bringing up different shit that has nothing to do with the topic.
Hey, how about we
women
just
stuffing for over the year? Like, come
how
on,
about
man.
we just eliminate the excuses and say there are some people that share in the ideology that these niggas are red flags and they're dangerous and we rather be around a bear. That's the point of the fucking bear conversation again.
It's really not. It's really not.
A man is
hold
telling
on.
you something.
Let me ask you two something. let me ask you two something
that different.
as having daughters. What are the things that you
Even that's the point.
Oh my God.
Why you
Can
can't
I
hear from a
fucking
man that
land?
don't have a
Can I
daughter?
fucking talk?
Let her cook, Joe.
Can I fucking talk?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And because having a daughter changed your perspective on
Thank
a lot
you
of things.
fucking
I want
very
to tell you
much.
that.
Hey,
Okay.
But not mine.
Oh
Ice,
my-
Ice, but wait, that is the point.
Joe.
Niggas don't need a daughter to qualify. We speaking as men.
I hear you. I'm telling you, as a man with a daughter,
We
you
got
can't-
that part.
But you
We're
can't.
talking about
Hold up.
just
I
men.
know you yelling, but
No, we
you
just talking
can't-
about men.
I understand
We're not
that.
talking about your daughter, your mom, your sister. We got that part. This conversation started and should end with men telling you about men and the erasure of men.
Yes.
You don't need to
Can
speak
somebody-
to somebody with a daughter. How a man feels. Speak to a fucking man.
Let that shit off.
No.
Please continue.
He completely shut down
No, you
everything
can't-
that I put.
no,
No,
Mel.
because I can't respond to the Doechii thing. I can't respond to the
You
bear
can
thing.
respond.
I can't because
Well, you
it
shouldn't
all,
have to. We're not
because
talking
it
about
all
that.
factors in. It does. My fucking argument when you keep bringing up this bear shit, it's fucking pissing me off because you are being willfully fucking obtuse.
Well, tell
All
me
right,
how.
stay fucking there. You two, you have daughters.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you are teaching your daughters in terms of when they go out into the world, how to conduct themselves? Only in terms of their sense of personal safety. Who do they need to keep themselves safe from? Who? And don't just answer the question.
People.
Yeah, I was gonna say the world.
Okay.
The world.
The world.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
People.
No, Mel. No, Mel. You asked the question, he answered it. That's not how that works. You don't ask somebody a question and then when they give you an answer, you want to have them give you the answer you want them to give you to back up your perspective. I'm not saying Mel is wrong or anything of that nature, but don't do that, Mel. I can't stand when people do that. You asked them a question. He said, what do you teach your daughters regarding personal safety when they go out into the world? People. Can you be more specific? No, people. Because I know what she wants him to say, and that's just not how a man sees it. That's not how men see it. That's how women see it, understandably. But we're going to get to a certain point here.
He said I get where you're trying to go with that. I'm not sitting there, I'm not at that point yet, but it's not, hey, look out for Ben, look out for boys. No,
I can
it's look out for people.
Okay.
People are
and
fucked up out here today.
And I'm just asking you two specifically.
Wait, hold on. I have a 15-year-old daughter.
He can answer better than I can.
I have a 15-year-old daughter. I tell her to be on the lookout for people, jealous girls, but I also tell her to be on the lookout for older men that's trying to prey on younger girls, offering rides and stuff like that. I tell her that, but that's what you learn in growing up, and that's that some men do that.
No, and that is fair, and that is fucking accurate. I can tell you stories of when I was 11 and 12. No, fuck that. 8. We had a handyman that used to come to the house, and one day my father was just like, my parents worked, and my dad was literally like, he's coming to the house, just give him the money for the work that he did, blah, blah, blah. He came to the house, I was there alone, he was drunk, and he tried to do some shit to me. It was fucking terrifying because I'm in my own fucking house, and this is somebody that my parents fucking trusted. And he came there drunk, and it was really fucking bad. That is just one experience. There's so many more that I can talk about that happened before the age of fucking 16 years old. The reality is that you can be in the safest environment and still there will be a situation that unfolds that where you need to teach your daughters to be careful of predatory boys and men. And I'm not talking about people.
I know.
Because
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Just wait 1 second.
The only issue, the only small issue I have is women point out, you know, the unfortunate, unforeseen events that happen with men that do that weird shit, right? But they don't point out all the other situations that they've had with women where you also were in danger. You don't feel like you were in danger because it's a woman, but you also were in danger. And albeit it might not be with another woman, it might not be, I'm not a female, but it might to you be insignificant because it was a woman, and it might be more traumatic because it was a man, but that doesn't mean that the women incidents did not happen. And that's the thing that kind of annoys me a little bit. But we're going to go ahead.
Anything can fucking happen.
That story about the handyman, was your dad there for that?
No, he wasn't. He was at work. It was during the day. It was like fucking noon or something like that.
Mel,
hold on.
There are systematic efforts that are out there to discredit and silence.
I'm not talking.
But you have to acknowledge that too, Mel.
I'm not.
Mel, wait. Listen, you should acknowledge the fact that there is a movement to discredit the black man.
Run that back,
discredit
the straight black man.
The straight,
not just black man, the straight
Online,
black man.
they're showing that women have all this power and women are in control of the home, and the black men are not here to take care of their children.
Different.
Legislation with?
Legislation that's being passed, Roe v. Wade being overturned, the anti-abortion laws. There is literally...
We're talking about social media that's being fed to our children. Okay. And now if you go on here, there's always something to discredit the black man. Mm-hmm. You know that and I know that. So that's what the point we're getting at, is that there's something that's going on. Not taking away that there's not, we know that there's predators out there. We know that there's men out there that take advantage, but there's also a lot of great men out there that take care of their family, that provide for their children, that protect the home, and that's not being highlighted anymore.
In no way, shape, or form am I fucking denying that at all. shit all highlighted as much as possible.
You
okay?
don't when you say I'd rather be around a bear.
Oh my God, literally.
You don't, though, when you say that.
Stop, because the fucking bear is literally just a fucking extreme metaphor for the high incidence rate of fucking sexual assault against women and girls. That's it. It is a fucking metaphor. Get over it, okay?
Mel.
That has nothing to do with the erasure of the concept of the straight
Yes,
fucking
it
man.
do-
It has nothing
okay.
to do with it. It has to do with sexual assault.
Melissa
That is
Ford.
it. That is it. That is all. That is it.
But
That
what-
is all.
but what does
Hold
that
up,
teach?
please let me get this
Go ahead,
1v1 with her, please. And we don't have to yell and get hostile here.
Okay,
We don't have to do
you're
that.
right, but I'm very frustrated by the way
I
that
hear you.
conversation has been handled
receive
over
you.
the course of
we
months
understand
over
that, man.
here,
I receive
especially
you,
for
but a
somebody who has
man-
literally experienced it. Literally experienced it more times than I
Melissa
care to
Ford.
count.
I'm going to say this in closing because I feel like we have rehashed the bear conversation a bunch.
That's true.
But if the bear conversation is being had through the lens of only sexual assault victims and victims of sexual violence, then you have now answered a question while erasing the rest of the field of men, good men, cornerstone men, legacy building great men. You are erasing that and answering the question through the lens of trauma and pain and horrible experiences with men. Mackie describe what it is to be a man. Where is the confusion at? We're not talking about men that do that.
that nasty
shit.
We're talking about men, and
Because
men should
we
be
are-
acknowledged.
Because the two things have nothing to fucking do
you-
with each other. Listen, all right, look, so just wait.
Okay.
Just wait.
I'm done.
The idea.
Because she's not going to get it no matter what you say.
And that's facts. Hey, listen, chat. That's facts. The only men that get highlighted is men that do that weird shit. The men that we've known, the type of man that we've known all throughout history is kind of like, all right, whatever. That's just expected. So if you do that, then just keep doing it. Good for you. You know what I'm saying? When we have these discussions about men, what I notice is that the men that do weird shit actually get talked about more than actual men that, you know what I'm saying, that do what they're supposed to do. The guy that Joe's describing, they don't get discussed as much as the guys that do that weird shit. So when these conversations or these bear conversations or the Dochi conversations get put on social media, those are the things that go viral. And then what happens is people are conditioned to think that actual men, all men actually are like that in those discussions that go viral. Not the actual men that you just, and I'm not saying that to say that, you know, the normal guys need any type of recognition. It is what it is. This is what we was born to do. This is where we come from. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna do what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? We gonna set ourselves up. We gonna set our families up and stuff like that. However, it's just unfortunate that in social media, that weird shit gets highlighted more than the actual real shit, the good shit.
You don't get it.
But you also,
don't
wait,
get
hold
it.
on.
You don't get
Man,
it.
well, you feel like you're part of the problem because you also highlighted that pressure could be too much for the 15-year-old son. That's the first thing you went to.
We are going all over the
No,
fucking
I'm just saying
place.
that-
Listen, whoa. Just one
But you
second.
made an excuse for him to-
Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. He brought up the bear. He brought it up.
Okay,
this wasn't even part of the fucking conversation right now.
It was
that
a
was
reference.
Just throwing a fucking monkey wrench into the conversation.
No, it wasn't. It was just a reference. It was an example to bring up the overall point of straight and masculine men. It was a reference, an example that he used to say that when we talk about men, especially amongst women, when women are having these conversations about men, the men that are brought up are the men that do the weird shit. So then when you get in a conversation about a bear, would you rather be stuck on an island with a bear or a man? What is brought up is men doing the weird shit. As if there are no men that are just normal, that are, listen, I'm stuck on an island with a woman, I'm going to protect her from whatever. What has happened is the sexual assault and all these other unforeseen, unfortunate incidents has traumatized women so much to make them think that all men are like that, and that's really unfortunate.
Male masculinity. We're not. That has nothing to do with the fucking bear.
Got it.
That was
It
not
has
part
everything to
it
do
has
with the erasure
nothing-
of men
no,
and what it is to be a man.
Look,
And that's a man telling
just,
you.
just wait 1 second.
But even that, a man can't tell you nothing.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
There was this case that unfolded in fucking France, and her name, and the woman's at the helm of this case, her name is Giselle Pellicot. She was 70 years old, and her husband spent the better part of a decade drugging her and advertising to men to come over and sexually assault her, and she did not know it. And do you know who these men were? There was like 50 of them, 51 of them got, some form of, punishment, legal punishment. These men were doctors, plumbers, lawyers, they were family men, they were grandfathers, they were all the things. The whole point is that there is no face of a predator. There's no face.
That's facts, Mel. Mel has a point there. Listen, like, I'm gonna point out bullshit, but I'm gonna also give flowers where they're necessary, right? Mel brings up a good point. The only thing I would say is, again, we focused on there's way more men that are normal than are men that do weird shit. And unfortunately, because even with the details, they're doctors, they're lawyers and stuff like that, even with those things, they get pointed out when we're having these discussions about the men that do that weird shit. But there's way more men that are just perfectly normal out there. But unfortunately, these events are so traumatic that it makes women think that every man is like this, or there's more than 50% of the men that are out there are on weird shit. And unfortunately, that's not the case. I personally believe that there's nothing that will be done to undo this type of thinking or this type of perspective. There's nothing that'll be done. It is what it is. So it's a conversation that is worth having, but it's not a conversation. There's no conversation. There's no solution, in my opinion, to get things back to the way they were, because these men were always out there. This is not new. This is not a new phenomenon amongst men. This has always been going on since before I was born, since before you was born. This has always been going on, but it's such a conversation now, in my opinion, because we have social media, and social media makes those conversations, when they talk about those men, those conversations go viral. Not necessarily about the men that's actually, setting their kids up, setting themselves up, doing things the right way and stuff like that. It's really unfortunate, man. But Mel makes a great point.
No look. There's no nothing. You can't tell. So when women are talking about sexual assault, it has nothing to do with, be afraid of, men because they're just scary. It's just there's no fucking picture as to what a predator looks like. The predator can look like your next door fucking neighbor. The predator can look like your fucking father. The predator can be your uncle, can be your brother, can be anybody. That's the whole point.
More reason for
I'm gonna
Anthony
talk to Joe.
Mackie
So it
to
has-
describe
Run that back,
what
Turbo.
raising a man looks
Joe,
like.
can I
So
say
that he
something?
does not become a predator.
Can I say something to you, Joe?
What the fuck?
Here's
Go ahead,
my
go ahead, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
Agreed.
Here's my thing.
Because that's really
We
what
are
it's-
so
what it is.
we are so used to looking down upon black men. Not saying you're doing it, but people is, because the first thing you said, and I said this when he said about what he's teaching his 15-year-old son, is that you made an excuse by saying that.
It's not an excuse.
Do you
I
think
asked a question.
you asked a question? Sorry, Mel, saying that. Do you think it may be too much pressure on this child?
Do you want to know why?
We don't think that.
Do you want to know why I asked that?
We teach our boys.
Do you know why?
I want to know why you asked
This
it.
is why I asked it.
Yes, ma'am.
Simple reason why. Because as black people, black women, black men,
Yes.
we are forced to grow up a lot faster
That is a
than
fact.
we should. Okay? We are looked at as more mature than our years actually, dictate. And that is unfair. That's unfair to both black female children and black male children. They should be able and they should be allowed to have a childhood, full childhood. That was the only reason why I asked. Had nothing to do with him making a poor decision.
I do get that, because on the flip side, the flip side of that be the girl that is maybe 13, 14, and you got to take care of your siblings now.
Yeah.
You're being forced to be
because society. That's some of the positions that society afford to people.
And I understand that, but Anthony Mackie is very, very rich. He has a lot of money. He has a lot of access to things. I'm just talking about him specifically.
Okay,
I'm not talking about, say the single mom who's got several children and she's got to work 2 jobs. And yes, then she relies on her children. And I understand that. I'm not talking.
Is that an exception? Do you give that an exception?
And I will give him that he could be considered an exception to the rule. That was the only reason why I asked that question.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with, the concept of masculinity being bastardized or forced upon him too early. No, it's just like he's still kind of a kid. And he should be able to be a kid. That's the only reason why I asked it.
Do you know what it's like? In closing for me, when we say be a kid, right? People used to say that pertaining to me and my son, because I teach him the same values of being a man. Do you know as soon as you take that hand off and let them be a kid, they succumb to peer pressure. They do stupid shit that kids do. They forget the guidance and the rules that you instill in them. So
I've done it. I've folded the peer pressure before, but you know what I'm saying. I bounced back from it and learned from my mistakes.
When we say let them be a kid, what does that entail? Right? Let them be a kid. Being a kid, cool. You can have fun, but it comes to some rules and regulations when it comes to being a kid. You can't just let a kid be a kid.
Okay.
I mean, this is a whole separate conversation, but I want to say that because I hear that a lot, and I'm a prime example of let them be a kid and taking that off. And then shit go haywire.
Look, letting them be a kid don't necessarily mean taking a hand off. They just talk about putting the added responsibility on the kid. That ain't necessarily. You can still have your rules and the way you're guiding this kid.
Got it.
And let them grow up without basically being a parent or the father of the house.
Okay.
Both can happen.
I feel like in closing, I feel
somebody close
okay.
us out,
Yeah, get out of here.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I feel like, that I had a lot of responsibility put on my shoulders way too early. I wasn't allowed to be a kid, like for as long as I should have been. I wasn't allowed. And so that's the only reason why I asked the question. It had nothing to do with the concept of masculinity.
Look what you became. Look at smart, intellectual, right? Focused, determined.
Yeah.
Like highlight the positivities of that.
Can I add that?
It's great. I will, but go on. Go.
No, I think it's great. I think,
Successful.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Beautiful,
it was.
strong, resilient.
Yes.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Let me think of some more adjectives. Fucking one of the brightest. One of the fucking strongest.
Extremely.
Resilient,
with the
tenacious.
most will, determined.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. All right. Moving right along.
Yo,
This was great.
I'm a man. Nigga went crazy. Shout out to Pops, Joe Pops. I know I can hear Joe Pops now. Them niggas don't play when it comes to being men.
At all.
They don't play. Joe in his bag. It's but so long you could be the potter and meaning a great potter and cater to everyone. Sometimes your true feelings come out, nigga. You good? Nigga,
What's your feeling?
Nigga, you a man. There's some shit going on with black men. I was waiting for you to say it.
Nah,
a lot of times
This shit been going on.
but we don't highlight that.
Bro,
and I'm happy that you did.
It's been going
Look,
on.
Mel, making a face.
They make straight black men as the devil, my nigga.
I was burping. I'm sorry.
Don't burp while we talk about black men. Don't burp while we talk about black men.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so what I'm gonna say in closing is that I understand why Joe kind of blew up in the middle of conversation, and I loved it. I love the drama. I love when like tensions are high and discussions and stuff like that, because it shows me how passionate people are about what they're talking about, right? So reason why I believe that Joe blew up in the middle of it is because this is something that he has observed has been going on for a while now. And in this conversation, he wanted to, for once, get his point across, and for you know what I'm saying, for the listeners to understand, like, yo, this is a problem. This wasn't supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, what it was like being taught how to be a man's man, and we get, shitted on the way we get shitted on. This is why I believe Joe blew up in the conversation. Now, excuse me, Ish and Ice, I believe that's their names. I'm sorry, I'm gonna learn their names. I'm sorry, but Ish and Ice, you know what I'm saying, they made great points. Mel made great points. I had issue with some of the things that Mel was pointing out. But I just believe that, hey, listen, Joe, he blew up because this is something that's been going on. And this was his frustration on society and social media highlighting the weird shit and not really highlighting, or also we're kind of getting to a point where when we talk about men, the masculine men are not being talked about. It's men doing the weird shit. And that is also why I see I see that in his frustrations, to be honest with you. And he has a point. You know what I'm saying? The whole conversation was pretty good in my opinion, but I'm just glad that I'm glad that they were able to have these types of conversations, these type of mature conversations, and both sides, are able to bring what they have to the table, and then we sort out whatever it is we sort out. In these types of conversations, no one's particularly wrong in this particular conversation, but there's definitely sides to be picked, and there's definitely things to be pointed out where, listen, as a society, we need to do better. It's not an option. Like, we need to do better. At the end of the day, like, besides all this social media and conversation stuff, when masculine men go out and stuff like that, masculine men usually typically, wound up how they always been. They always wound up married with kids, passing things off to their families and stuff like that. Laying a foundation for the family to continue going and stuff like that. So it's really like, it's just a social media thing. But when you come off social media and come back into reality, like, and then you go in a room amongst men, everybody, eventually we know who's who. If you're going to take a man that, like, doesn't stand on his core beliefs and his core values, other men are going to realize that, and then you're not in the circle no more. Like, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? And then the men that do have that backbone, that are willing to speak up and defend their core beliefs and defend the people that are with them, those men get respected, and you just start seeing how men react to one another based on those respect factors that, one man demands or warrants, versus another man. These things happen all the time when you step off social media and you come back into reality. This is more so just a social media thing that's been going on where, again, when you talk about men, the conversation is the ones that's doing the weird shit and not really the men that's actually doing what they're supposed to do in society. So that's all. We're going to end it there.